Everybody wants to build the next billion-dollar company. Nobody wants to talk about what happens when you need to shut it down. But we need to talk about it. It happens. This is literally the birds and the bees conversation of the high-tech industry. I'm Yael Elad, CFO and operating partner at Aleph. It's heartbreaking to see your life project comes to an end. It's heart-wrenching to come to the conclusion that you need to close a company. The purpose of this conversation is to give you guidelines and support on how to manage the process effectively, regardless of how the decision has been made. The process will start with a list of your responsibilities and liabilities. Your company has three main commitments: commitments to its employees, commitments to its customers and users, and commitments to its service providers. Let's talk about employees first. These are the people that you carefully hired and brought together into a team, and you now need to say goodbye to. This is going to be very, very difficult and painful. You'll need to balance two things here. One, your need for the company to run a little longer to service existing clients, and the time you want to give employees in terms of notice. Keep in mind here, if you had subsidiaries in other locations, you need to be very well familiar with the laws of employment in different geographies and follow them carefully. Next, let's talk about your customers and users. The first order of business here is to look into the terms of service to see what notice period you've committed to for your clients. The notice period will determine the length of time that you will need to run your operation in order to support your customers. If your customers are using your tool as a key infrastructure, you may want to consider what time length practically would they need in order to move on to a different service or tool. The next liability is your service providers. You want to look very, very carefully into the renewal terms of all your apps and software products. Another piece here is your leasehold, particularly if the lease is very long. You want to make sure you have a conversation with your landlord in order to find out what are your options. So all of these things together will prepare you for putting together a budget for the process. Make sure you leave money for other expenses such as lawyers, accountants, filing taxes, and any unexpected expenses. They always come up. You want to make sure you're ready for them. Remember that there's also incoming flow from your current clients so long as they're paying, and from selling your furniture and equipment, as well as from your lease if you provided a deposit. One last piece of advice. This process is going to be long and potentially unpleasant. Make sure you have around you people that can support you. Remember that your investors have been there from the beginning. They know you and the company very well. They can really advise you from their experience, and you should lean on them. Closing a startup is hard and painful. Remember that the biggest asset you'll be taking from this is your experience. It'll serve you in your next endeavor. It's important to mention that while we have a lot of repeat entrepreneurs, for many of them, the repeat was not from one success to another, but from one failure into success. And that really is the process. We take our experience from one company, even if we had to shut it down, and we learn how to do it better the next time.